And Heather, I don't know anything about up there. That's why I wanted to, someone doesn't share it with me.
Well, I figure it's the same with Adrian Aronson wanted to be on this. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be embarrassed if Mike hears me talk about it. And Jamie, I am 2 years more removed than you are. So please butt in. But I did a little research today to see if anything had changed. And it appears that, let me do a slideshow. And now let me get Zoom up. It appears that because of COVID, there have been a lot less changes than you would think normally for PURG. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And that means that, oh, I can still see you. Okay. So let me go to slideshow. Push play. Come on. Start slideshow. How do I do this? It was working just a second ago. From beginning. There we go. Okay. Well, that's not what I wanted it to look like. Maybe it's weird because it's in Zoom. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll do it like this. View. Oh, it was in view. That's what I was in. View. Sorry. I had this so pretty. Fit to window. No. Anyway, I did it just a second ago, and now because I'm in Zoom, let me stop sharing for a sec. And then I could do it. Oh, my Lord. Can't believe you have to wait for me to do this. Yeah, weird. It did a weird display settings. Oh, well, doesn't matter. Share screen. Okay, technical difficulties. So I haven't done this in a couple of years. I was doing it every year, and then I stopped. So I did go online to see if there were any updates from my research. I wasn't seeing any new maps, any new tools. So I'm going to go ahead with what I have. The outline of what I wanted to talk about, and again, Jamie's on the line, so this could change. So feel free to butt in, Jamie.
Okay.
I was going to do a quick overview of the neighborhoods of it PURG, and this isn't just PURG, it's like the greater area. I want to start out by just saying I have nothing written down, but it's so different selling up at PURG. And when you talk about people who dabble, this is an area that you have to be super careful if you're going to dabble, that you do the research to find out what is different up there. I know out of the blue one time when I was a Coldwell Banker agent, I had been in the business, I don't know, 5 years, and I got a engineer village listing, and it was a lot. And I had no idea how to price it. I had no idea how like one lot compared to another. I had no idea what the fees were. And any of these things could have been huge liabilities if you don't understand and the person closes. This is one of those places that even when I was full-time up at the mountain in almost the end of year 2, there was something I did not know. I did not know that I had a fractional that closed and the owner wanted to bring a pet. And there's like a big sign in the building, pets welcome. I didn't know that if you're quarter share, you can't bring pets because maybe the other owners don't want them. So this person was almost at closing, and it was such a like deal breaker, but it was also a huge, I could have gotten sued, you know? So it's a hard place to get to know. So I want to give you at least the basics, and then know if you don't sell up there a lot, that please take your time and do the research. So the area of the overview of the neighborhoods is going to be ski in, ski out, that's SISO, single family, townhome, condo, new versus old, what's new and what's old. And that I'm going to keep up on my screen while I'm talking to you. Oh, you know what I'm going to show you next. Okay, hold on a sec. I wanted to get that up on the screen so I can see it in both places. Oh, well, that's not going to happen. I'll just keep going back to that slide. Then I'm going to talk about what DMMA is, what it serves, what it costs, and then what buyers are looking for, HOA costs and how they differ, renting a property, best worst case, and how you can show buyers this, loans and things to consider. Wow, this is a lot of stuff. Sales, and then new improvements at PURG, which aren't that new anymore because they're just, I think they're just on hold for new things from as far as I'm looking. Usually you go to PURG's website and it's just plastered with all the new things they're doing per James Coleman. But right now there's no button, there's no nothing. And I had to really dig and I still wasn't seeing anything. So first off, I wanted to show you, this is the conceptual master plan, and this has not, I couldn't find a new map, Jamie. This was still on Durango Mountain Realty's website. I assume this is.
There's no new maps.
So I love this map. It's really easy when I was with a customer We had a big one printed out at Durango Mountain. I was the manager up there. I worked here for 13 years. I was hired away. I lasted about a year and almost 2 years. And yeah, I got the opportunity to come back here, and I took it and did not work with Gary Dirk anymore. And then Jamie took the position up at the mountain, and she was in the same position as I was, and she's on the call. So green and yellow. So we had a big one in our office, and this was beautiful because you could say, okay, what are you looking for? If it's single family, it's the green and yellow. You have Engineer Villages over here, single family homes, double diamond estates. This is Purgatory right here, okay? So like skiing. So this is double diamond. You can ski right down. Someday they wanted to be able to kind of connect it in a way you could get back to the trails, but for now you could ski to some of these homes, right? You also have the summit, and over here, these are meant for snowmobiling in and out. This is Hermosa Creek Road. So you could have a house here, and people have their snowmobiles in a, you know, these are $1 million homes, and you could just snowmobile right up the mountain. Not over here, but over, you know, where people go snowmobiling. Okay, then we're going to townhomes. So the orange and brown, you have Black Bear. Okay, there's Tacoma Vista over here. A lot of this is built out more than it was. Oh, Twilight Cabins is also single family, but they're like patio homes. So it's kind of very, very tucked in, smaller lots.
Oh, no.
And then you have, okay, so townhomes, again, this was slated for it. I sold this piece and some of this piece while I was still up there. So this is kind of held by someone, a single person that owns it, and they have the right to develop it if they ever want to one day. But there's other things that are on the market. You drive up there now and you'll see signs. I think, Jamie, isn't it this piece here? This is for sale for sure. This is Gray Rock. And there's north and
Yes.
north and south. And then there's, I think this is what, because it's right next to it is the parking lot pretty much. So it's like area.
So Base Village.
Yep, Base Village. So that's for sale
And then
now. So go ahead.
L&M, the orange ones that are right there that are just below Peregrine Point. There's 2 little orange pieces.
Oh yeah, so
Those
Peregrine.
are parcels.
Wow, it's been a while.
Yeah.
This is Alpenglow, and then Peregrine.
Go up around the corner to the right there. There's 2 small little
Oh,
orange
this
pieces.
one.
Just north of the summit.
F. Did you say F? North of the summit. Oh, over here.
F
North.
is
Here we go.
no L&M.
Oh, L&M. Okay,
Yeah, right
so
there.
L&M
Those
right
2
there.
pieces. Those have had a lot of action. Those are development parcels. That'll be townhomes one day.
I don't think it's going to take
They're
much
not on the
longer.
market, but yeah, I don't think it'll take much longer.
I know, and then James Coleman was in, he's looking at some of these pieces that make most sense to an owner of a ski resort, if you know, like that sort of thing. So then you have like Alpenglow townhomes, you can ski. This is where the bunny slope is, right? So then you have Elk Point here, you have, and then the older stuff, you have A-list, you have Village, townhomes. So when people are looking at things, these are all very different from each other. This is white because it's not a part of the master plan. It existed beforehand. It's the same, and I don't know why Elk Point, I would think that's part of everything, but it's in white. And then you got these over here. So just because they exist, it happened before, and they aren't necessarily part of some of the services that exist up there. So when you're going new and old, that's kind of what you are. This is all newer, and then these are the older ones here, and then here. This is the old stuff that's like, you know, 1970s and 80s. So moving on, what did I want to go over next? DMMA. So this is the part that since I have left PERG is harder and harder to understand. And it does look like it's changed since I went up there. You know, some of the resort amenities when you go to PERG, the owners have access to, if they are a part of DMMA. So all these things here that were existing post DMMA have to be part of DMMA. Does that make sense? It's the Durango Mountain Master Association. So if it's in color here, it's definitely part of DMMA. If it's in white, the owner had the option to purchase in. And so once you've opted in, you can't get out of it. You can't just buy it and say, oh, I don't want to be part of it. So you'll still see some of the, like the old Angel House and those kind of things. They aren't part of the DMMA. But usually at closing, people purchase into it and they decide to be part of it because it's just such a benefit. Like people back in the 70s are like, well, I've owned my place since the 70s. I'm never going to use the pool. They are not going to change. But people who now, their kids go, I know my son would go by the pool. He's like, Mommy, why can't I go to the pool? I'm like, oh, we're not a member. We can't use the pool. So owners can use these things, the pool, the hot tub, the fitness facility, the locker room, shuttle, tennis, and classes. Now, there are also parts that are only for the owners. So the club dining facility, you can't just be a guest and go. The game room, the Nordic facilities, the discounts, they have meet and greets, they have all sorts of things that DMMA runs. So I am going to go, let's get out of here. And I wish I could see this a little better. Now you're seeing my screen. Hold on a sec. I'm gonna drag this over so you're not in my, oh my gosh, Zoom does not make this easy. Okay, now you're in my inbox. You don't need my Christmas music. Hold on, I'm going to the other screen so I can find this. It's a DMMA, I'll drag it over when I find it. I was on so many websites this morning. Okay, this is the Durango Mountain Master Association. It's the DMMA.com. So if you're searching DMMA.com, it doesn't come up. That's one of those things. Durango Mountain Master Association is an awesome resource. And if you are listing something or buying something, just know this is where you go. The associations, you click Alpenglow, and then it makes it look like you have to be an owner, but you don't have to be an owner just to see this information, right? It's a terribly designed website, but it works really well. So then DMMA, so then these are the different associations that are a part. They're not a part of the DMMA, the Master Association, but they might, DMMA also runs some associations. I know I'm not making this very clear, but if you're in a new association, you have access to the facilities. DMMA also runs associations. Does that make sense? It's like having the property manager run your association. So this is where you get documents. But one of the resource center, I'm hoping I was there. Hold on, I want to get out of, I want to go back to DMMA. Let me see if I can get out of here. DMMA has a really cool newsletter, Durango Mountain Club member, brochure, Durango Mountain. They have the menus here. You have events. So if you're looking, your customers are there for the weekend. You can find out some of the things that are going on. Let me go, but the newsletter, I had it right up here, and I'm sorry about that. But if you look through here, you will find a newsletter, and it tells you all the kind of stuff that's going in. And one of the things it had on here was like what's going on up at the mountain. Here it is. I did have it up. Okay. The Slopeside Times. So Durango Mountain Realty has a little thing there about what's going on. They still have your name on it, Jamie. Actually, this is probably when winter 2019. Yeah, that's when you were still up there. But there's some background information to what's going on, what the trash and recycling update was. That's the only thing I could find that was new. All the events they have. Break it if you guys have questions. I hope that's you can understand. So DMMA not only has things that you can use. Now, this is what I wanted to ask you, Jamie. So what I'm finding on DMMA now, it used to be that if you were a renter of, let's say, Alpenglow or one of these places that has to be in the Master Association, it doesn't necessarily mean that your renters have access to all those things. Just you as an owner, you have to pay extra for your people to have it. But when I'm on their website,
as a landlord, you can pay a fee for your renter to have access. Yes.
Okay, so if that makes sense, if you have somebody who is wanting to have a renter rent out their place, it's not like they can just use the same facilities. Okay, so that hasn't changed. Your renter can't necessarily use the same facilities. You as an owner have to pay for the groups that come in or by the year or whatever, you have to pay for that. So the reason they created it this way was they wanted the owners to have a place of solace. So you know what it's like when you are surrounded by tourists all the time and you want something a little bit special so you and your friends can go to the club and just relax, and you see the same people every Christmas, and they're the big events that they hold or were holding until COVID. It's just a really nice place, a family-friendly place, and very cool. If you're up there on showings, you want, if it's a property where you have DMMA access, not only do you have to set up your showing for showing the house, you want to have access to DMMA, right? So somebody can take your customers on a tour so that you could see the facilities. And I used to be really good at these tours because I watched so many of them so that I could give them too. So I'd give them for other, you know, if I had a listing or Phil or somebody up there had a listing, I would help coordinate that tour for the buyers when I was there. So the cost of DMMA, you own a property up at Perg and it's part of DMMA. It's when your purchaser, when your buyer buys it, it's 2% of whatever that purchase price was. 200,000, you're paying like $4,000 at closing, right? That's your buy-in. And then there's a yearly fee that's based on your home and your lot value. When I left Perg, that the most you could be paying per year was $2,000, and that was for like $1.5 million home or something, right? So it always was less than $2,000 a year. And you could find all this out by DMMA by saying, okay, my customer wants to know about what it's going to cost to own this property. Just know it's always 2% out closing. And what is that? Negotiable, right? It's always negotiable. So I was a manager. I read everybody's contracts, just like I do here. And I will tell you when you're in a buyer's market, who's paying for the DMMA fee most of the time. When buyers are buying, they're in control. They want the seller to pay, right? And then when it's a seller's market, they're not going to pay that DMMA fee. They want the buyer to pay for it. So sometimes it's split 50-50. I don't know what it would be in, you know, in this market with a seller's market. I'm assuming they make the buyer pay for it. Who knows? And then you can buy into DMMA if you already are not. You can't opt out of it. But if you're buying one of those old 70s Angel House units and it's not in DMMA, you'll see it in the MLS. They'll probably say whether it is. Just know you can always purchase in, okay? So that's it on DMMA. It's enough to just know that you need to know more. What buyers are looking for. So when you have a buyer looking for Purgatory property, they are not one size fits all. They could be just people that I want the cheapest thing you have on the market. And there are those people. They will walk in and they're like, I want the value. You also have people that are only looking for income. They want the property that they'll walk in and they'll say, this is when I was up there, I want the place that's going to make, what rental around here makes the most bang for my buck, like if I purchase it, and I want to be between 200 and 400,000. Or what is the most convenient property to me? Which one can, this is exactly my lifestyle. I want my kids to go on the shuttle. I don't want to have to drive them over to Perg, but I'm okay with not being ski in, ski out. And then I want to be no more than 5 steps away from the trails, or I have a snowmobile that I want to. But what happens is you have these combination buyers. They might say one thing. You tell me what property makes the most income, or you tell me what the cheapest property out there is. And I'm like, okay, I got an Angel House all day for $135,000. It's like a 1-bedroom Angel House. If you want that, that's great. I'll sell it to you. But let me ask you some questions. So your interview with them is a lengthy one. It's like, how often are you going to use this? What are you going to do in the off times? Are you expecting to put it into the rental market? And how, you know, do you want to have to walk to the slopes across the whole parking lot and have to get all the way there? I have walked to Angel Houses before with people said, oh yeah, I'm in shape. We can just walk there. And they show up and they're a smoker and they're just like, ugh. And I'm like, you're not going to want an Angel House in the winter. You need to be closer to the mountain. It's worth it. So combination buyers are most often, and find out what drives them. No matter what a buyer says, buyers are liars. They tell you one thing, but really their driver is something else. So if you ask a lot of questions, you say, I want the cheapest thing out there. And then you start asking questions. You say, are you planning on renting this when you're not around? They said, oh yeah, well, it needs to pay for itself. You say, well, Angel House isn't, you're never going to get a renter. And they go, oh God, don't sell me that then. What else do you have? So they can change really quickly. Which areas rent better? Things to keep in mind. I don't know if this is, here, I really wanted to get this open twice so I could see it and see this one at the same time. Proximity to skiing. So obviously, if you're one of these right here, you would get, if single family, it's going to be expensive, but I don't even know if you can you rent double diamond? Is there any covenant against that?
I don't think so, but the homes are so expensive that those would be major
expensive.
rentals.
But if you did, I know there are places right here, right on.
There's some big ones on Shoal Street that rent.
They are, oh my God, they make so much money. That one that Phil had forever with Kathy.
Cantilever House.
Here. Oh, it was they rented for so much. Perg Lodge, again, I mean, my God, you can go down in your PJs and get breakfast and come back up. You're going to see all your friends in the lodge. So that rents out phenomenally, worth the extra expense. Anything over like Elk Point, these are the townhomes. You have the lift that goes right by it. They're beautiful townhomes. They rent really well, but again, expensive. Alpenglow is awesome. So any of these things that are close in, right? And then what are some of the other, here it is, newness of the building. So again, who wants to be in an Angel House? I'm sorry to Angel House, or Twilight View. It's going to rent better if it's a newer building. The rating of the unit. So if you're rating through Purgatory Resort, they have an A through an F, and they will only rent you if you're like A through C. I think they probably threw all their D's and F's. They said, get up on our list or get out of our program. So they have a report card, and there were like 99 items, and it's just like a grade in school. So if you, every year they make you get a little bit better to be an A. And A's, at the time I was there, you need a flat screen in the master bedroom. You need a flat screen in the living room. You need, your mattresses can't be more than X years old. You have to have the carpet and everything about it. You need this kind of countertop. They want you not to have a 40-year-old building that you have never put money into. It has to keep up. It's like anybody's home. You have to keep up with what's out there. Like my mom, she's owned her house for 30 years, but she consistently like, I'm going to redo the bathroom this year. I'm going to redo this, because she knows it's not going to be worth as much if you're not putting the time into it. It's the same with renters. They want to have a nice, place to go. So it will get rated. And as a buyer's agent, you have to be careful, because they might get, it's not a lazy thing. It's that they're so overworked up there that you have a rating and the person goes, oh, I'm an A rating. And you look at the unit and you have this like tickle and you're going, oh, in the back of my head, I'm just thinking this doesn't seem like an A unit. And if you were to make the right calls, you might find out it hasn't been rated in 6 years or so, right? So Cascade Village went through that. That's the one that's like a mile up the road. So Cascade is actually in San Juan County. It's like sitting over here, or it's more further up. But Cascade Village went through that, where the ratings were almost 10 years old, I think. And so you had all these people who were considered A's that all of a sudden they're D's. So you were trying to sell a unit and your buyer's saying, well, I think I want it because it's an A and it rents really well. And you're looking at it going, man, that's an 80s looking hot tub and all the other things. So no, the rating is super important. And the way they do it at Purgatory Lodging is they're going to rent out all their A's and then they're going to rent out their B's. So you're not even going to get a renter unless it's a really busy weekend up there. Okay. So if you're going to get a lot more money if you have the A unit. And I had one more other thing to say about that rating, but it costs money. So check out the rating, make sure you agree that it actually should be rated that, or do a little digging if it's not. I went over to the amenities. Oh yeah, if you're part of DMMA, you're of course going to rent better because they can use the pool and their kids aren't going to be mad at mom. Oh, the rating of the unit. The one thing I wanted to mention. So the reason they rent them the way they do is they don't want, what happens is you have two couples and they both are bringing their families for Christmas. And one of them is trying to save a buck and one of them isn't trying to save a buck. They just want their family to have a good experience. So 2 months goes by and they show up to Christmas and the guy who saved the money forgot why he was saving money. He just goes into the other unit and goes, what the heck? Why is my unit so ugly? Like, I have the worst place ever. And he forgot that he got it for like a couple $100 cheaper. So then he goes and complains, and then he has a bad rating on Purgatory's website. So they do it the way they do it for a reason, to make sure that they keep the ratings that they have. Summer versus winter. So again, back to this. Now think again about the way this is laid out. People who are renting places, they want easy access. And I might get this wrong, Jamie, but I thought that in the summer, you're going to want to have your doors open, right? And you're going to want a beautiful area. And in the winter, you might not be sitting on the deck at all. So like a Black Bear might rent it, and I can't remember which one. I thought it rented much better in the winter, but it could be the opposite. But you might not want to be right on the highway because you want to have your glass of wine and not have the highway noise, right? But in the winter, who cares? You have a shuttle anywhere in DMMA. You can get a shuttle. All you have to do at the time, they might have changed it, but summer or winter during season, you could call from your house and they'll send a little bus And it used to
Yep.
be on a schedule, but they decided against the schedule because it was too confusing. It was like every 20 minutes or every hour. They just said, just tell us where you live and we'll come get you. So if you're skiing and you're part of DMMA and your kids are like, I'm done, and you say, I just want one more run, you can walk down over here. There's like a little phone call place to make a phone call right around here. And they say, you call from the, I need a ride to my house. And then they can meet you right out at the parking lot, right? They take your kids and then you go on another run and then you can meet them at home. And it's the same thing in the morning. You want to sleep in, your kids want to get up on the mountain, you can make sure they have a safe ride up there. So it's super cool. And that's one of the reasons some of these rent differently than another, because no matter if you're all the way tucked back in Engineer Village, you get a ride. You don't have to mess with the parking. So let's see if there was anything else. And number of bedrooms. For whatever reason, 1 bedrooms rent really well in the summer because, and probably for the winter too, like those tiny units, because people would be on, and you don't have a lot of 1 bedrooms, but let's say you decided you're from Chicago and you want to go hike Chicago Basin because it's the famous Chicago Basin. You take the train in and it just rains like heck. And you're supposed to be out on 4 days backpacking and you're not from here. So you get out of there. You're like, I just got to go find a hotel. We weren't planning on spending money on a hotel, but I need something. So they walk into Purg and they say, can I have the cheapest thing you have? So 1 bedrooms rent really well because they're just the cheapest thing that is out there. And especially at A-list because there's no, that's a whole nother scene. But 2 bedrooms rent really well. 3 bedrooms, a lot less because they still rent well. But if you have a family of 4 and they want a trip to Purg, they want to save some money. And so you would be amazed you could fit in a 2-bedroom home because there's pull-out couches, there's this, and this person's sleeping on a pad and whatever it is, the cots they have. So they will, so many people will push themselves into a 2-bedroom instead of getting the 3-bedroom, even if they have a bunch of people. So the 2 bedrooms happen to rent a lot better. And then in Christmas time, so very short amounts of time, Easter time, times when you have like a ton of guests coming, those big units sell really well or rent really well, like the up at the top of Purgatory Lodge, the penthouses up there, because people want to bring a lot of people. But know that your customers are, in the best case scenario, going to break even. That's what you're telling them. And I don't know how you did it, Jamie, but I would always tell people, if you're thinking you're going to purchase something and make a ton of money and not use it, it's probably not going to happen, right? You want to enjoy it. You want to buy something that you're going to enjoy and actually use. And then if you happen to break even with all the write-offs and all the income that comes in, if it happens on a normal year to break even, it's awesome. And the reason you want to get that in their heads is if it's a bad year, they're saying there might not be a lot of snow this year. There's COVID. Maybe it's something else that's going on. It's just no snow. You don't want to have that expectation that the person comes back and said, well, I thought I was going to make all this money. I didn't make any money. So you say, you know, you're going to have good years that make a ton more money than you're expecting. And you're going to have bad years. So just assume with the HOAs and everything else that you're at least going to break even. And also counsel them with, when are you planning on using this place? So if you want to actually break even, you can't be here during Christmas week. You can't be here during Easter week and President's Day weekend and all these weekends where everybody else wants to come and you're actually going to make so much money, right? Stay away and come the week after. So if you need to use it during those high peak times, you're obviously not going to break even so much. And there's always an off season too, right? There's mud season. Nobody's going to rent it all year. It's just two big seasons a year, which they're trying as much as they can with the mountain to make it an all year place to go. But right now it's still got mud season on 2 sides of the summer and winter. How do HOAs different? Oh, Jamie, I want to hear do you have a different take on how you counseled people with what to expect from a rental?
I think you got it all right. I would just add a few things. One being, it does depend on when they're going to use it. So if they're thinking this is vacation home, we want to use it at Christmas and 4th of July, they're not going to have as much rental income as somebody who might not be. I mean, those are key rental weeks. Those are where you make the best money. Yep. So that is important. Holidays are important. The mud seasons are getting smaller. So what I found was a lot of people were surprised. They were either used to skiing and they had never been there in the summer. So they didn't know about the circus and the village and all the activities and panning for gold and the
Mhm.
ropes courses and all the stuff, they don't have any idea. And vice versa. Some people always come in the summer because they're mountain
So
bikers.
true.
They've never come to ski and they have no idea. But it usually surprises people that it is getting very close to year round. What they've been doing the last few years to fill those mud seasons is that's when they do corporate retreats. So like
Yep.
Morgan Stanley or really big corporate groups, because nobody's there, that's perfect for them. They come in, they use the food services, they have plenty of rooms for other people, and they use the facilities for corporate conferences and stuff like that. And also the weddings. When I was there, the weddings doubled every year, the volume. It just was growing like crazy.
You know,
So
Jamie has a point. So I didn't even mention, so Cascade Village is an anomaly. When I was an agent before I went to PERG, I used to always tell people, oh my God, stay away from Cascade, because the HOAs are like $600 a month. It's kind of like Tamaron. Like, oh my God, they're so expensive. Those things rent like crazy. And it has that picture perfect Colorado lodge, right? The big lodge. And it's got a workout facility and a pool, and it's got a bus or whatever. Yeah, the shuttle that comes to PERG. Might only be a couple times in the morning and a couple times in the evening, but it has something. And when they rent them, they do these retreats like Jamie's talking about. They bring these massive like churches in. They will rent out the entire Cascade or a lot of it, right? And it's like very overwhelming when you're up at PERG and this is happening. You're like, oh my God, all these people. But they make a ton of money on the rentals, even though it's 2 miles up the road, and it goes against everything I was saying about what all these things, the proximity to skiing, the newness of the building, they're 70s buildings, ratings of the unit, they're all mostly old, but still, yeah, good. Yeah, that's totally true, Jamie.
I have a couple other things I just want to mention. So if you have a client and because a lot of times what we're hearing now is they want to be able to rent to some extent to recover their cost. Maybe they're not totally set on the resort. If they're comparing condos or townhomes in town or somewhere else in the county to PERG, you got to keep in mind that the 99% of the inventory at PERG is going to be sold fully furnished.
Yes.
It's totally different. And if you're not used to that, it'll surprise you. And we had situations where something was closing and the agents went in to check it and they were like, oh my God, we have to get rid of this furniture like in an hour if the buyer didn't want it. So just make sure you're paying attention to the furnished, unfurnished field at MLS. We had that added just to help clarify. And then because it is furnished, you'll have to do the PPA, the addendum, the personal property, which lots of agents aren't familiar with if they haven't sold furnished. So those are things to keep in mind. And you can use any property management company you want. That's another question. People can self-manage, they can Airbnb, they can VRBO, and there's about 6 local companies that are pretty familiar and dialed in at the resort as well. So there's lots of choices.
Awesome. So how do HOAs differ? If you rent, you're going to need a bunch of things. So as an agent before I was at PERG, this was another, like, I totally messed up on this. And I had been in the business almost 10 years and I had messed up. I didn't realize, like, you have these HOAs that are so expensive. And I'd always say, well, it's got to be cheaper if you're on your own. But if you're renting the unit and you're not like the 70s purgatory person who just wants a place to crash and drink their beer, you're going to need Wi-Fi, you need cable, you need a landline, you need firewood, you need snow removal. If it's single family, you have to worry about that. Your utility bills, if they're not paid through the HOA, are going to be really expensive, right? If you have like an electric heater in your own thing. So you have to ask, if you're looking, you want to show different properties up there, you need more information. Oh, well, your buyer's asking, well, what's the HOA? It's $300. Oh, forget about that one. And if you don't know, you're going to go, okay, throw out the MLS sheet, buy this one. But they're going to have to buy those things anyway. So find out if the HOA includes those things. Find out if water, sewer, trash are separate, or if part of the HOA, all these are different for every single place up there. Does it have electric heat? Electric heat is super expensive. I know propane's expensive, but electric heat is really expensive. Snow removal can be more expensive in some areas. One of the major reasons I would say that Cascade has such high HOAs, one is because of all the electric usage. They have, like, lit hallways, all these common areas that have to be lit, and they have the big cabin or lodge too, and a lot of maintenance. But they have a ton of snow. When you're seeing even the difference between what's at Purgatory and what's at Cascade, it actually is a lot more expensive up there to get rid of that snow. And do they have a reserve fund? in the HOA? Are there assessments planned? Possible issues, like it's more important to, it's always important. I shouldn't say it more important. It's always important to read your HOA minutes. Find out if there's that thing they keep putting off that they haven't assessed for yet. Do they have a reserve fund? And who runs the HOA? If DMMA is running the HOA, you can feel really warm and fuzzy about the HOA. They might still have problems, but you know that it's being well taken care of. When you go into some of these association websites, let's see if I can find it. Is it this one? DMMA information. If you found one of these on association, Purgatory was a perfect example. If you got into here on the financials, oh, what's that called? Reserve study, executive summary. So you see, they would do these reserve studies. So has Cascade, but they know to the T what is needed over the next 30 years. So yeah, look at this. Like, they have figured out on this big building what they're going to need to replace, and these are the years. In what year do they need to do it, and how much is it going to cost? These documents are insane what they do. They do such a good job with it, right? And then right next to Purgatory Lodge, I see that DMMA now runs ALIS. ALIS happened to be run by an 80-year-old and their pals, and every time they needed something, they had to do an assessment. So ALIS, whoa, it's so cheap to have a condo there. I want to buy there. Oh, bam, all of a sudden you have an $8,000 assessment because they need to do a new elevator. And then bam, like 1 year later, there's a $4,000 assessment for something else. So you can see, like, the newer people were like, can you just get DMMA to run your association, because they had no money in reserves. So it's super expensive or important to look at the whole financials, and very much more important than in maybe an average townhome to have an attorney look at those financials too and give you some advice. I've had people do that. It was like $250 to have an attorney look at it, and it was saved them a lot of headache of just understanding it. So finding out all those things is really important about how they might differ, okay? It's not just about the money. So next, getting a loan, things to consider. It is so hard to get a loan, or at least it was a few years ago, for if you're not super financially qualified. It doesn't mean you just have money in the bank. Money in the bank does not mean income. Income is income. So if somebody's retired and they have a little bit of chunk in the bank and they just think they can go get a loan, it's not easy, especially when you're dealing with getting a loan on a Purgatory. So they need to know, are you going to rent it out, or is this just a second home? They're completely different loans. So what a lot of people did up there's a ton of cash. But for the people who weren't cash, what you would see is I give them the bank names, they shop around, and they always want to use their lender out of whatever place they're from. And sometimes that was fine. You just have to be careful. A lot of people just did a HELOC. So a HELOC is an equity line of credit on the home you already own, right? Could be done in a few weeks, probably max. So you'd have a lot of people say, oh, it's just so much easier. I'm just going to get a HELOC and I'll try to refinance later. So that's what a lot of people did. Don't use an out of area lender. Banks are best. Cash. Oh, okay. So this is, I could have updated that, but there were a lot of cash sales. I bet there's a lot of there now. And most of the houses, so the way you describe it is somebody's trying to get a loan. And obviously, if they have a loan, this is another point, they're not going to break even if they have a loan, if they're trying to rent it out. Does that make sense? You're going to break even if you probably won't break even. If you have a cash purchase, you can break even on your rental, probably. Best case scenario is what I would tell people. But if you have a mortgage to pay, you're probably not going to be able to make your payments on that. That's just not, it's not making that much money on rentals. And you have good years where you're going to pay everything, but you also have bad years. You have to keep that in mind. But you don't assume a 30-year fix. Most of the loans that I saw at the time up there were ARMs. Those are the ones that you get it locked in for 3 years, you get it locked in for 5 years, and then it's going to bounce around. So right now, if your loan reset after your 5 years, not a big deal, right? The rates are really low, but in other years, it might be a concern. But don't let buyers worry about that, because you say, look, are you planning on owning this for 30 years? How many years do you actually want to buy it for? And they say, well, my kid's 2 now, and I was thinking I'd probably till they're teenagers, and then they might not enjoy this that much. Okay, so that's 10 years. So maybe there's a few years after there you want to refinance it, but people don't usually own these things forever. So get that in their mind that it's okay to have an ARM for a purchase like this. And then remember, a true home versus a rental property are very different loans. How you're planning to use it is important. And that furniture. So knowing that you're going to have to deal with the furniture with a lender. That's why we have these personal property agreements, and I can walk you through one if you need one. If you have a lender, you put it in the offer that you want the furniture. And I have a certain way I write it about, you just come see me when you have one, about how to write furniture in a contract. And then the lender says, hey, I need that out of the contract. Can you put it on a personal property agreement? And then you put a dollar amount with that, what it's worth, right? And then remember to put DMMA costs in your contract. You always remember to, don't forget that. It's a private transfer fee. Property managers, just like Jamie said, there's Purgatory management, and Purgatory management at the time when I was up there, they were charging 45% to rent out your condo. And people go, whoa, that's normal, because they have to spend a ton of money on advertising. They give away free nights. They have a whole bunch of, they spend I think they said $1 million on advertising every year just to get people here. That's Purgatory itself. There's Keith Brandt and Premier. They do a great job up there, but you will find that with different locations are going to rent better with different managers. Like Keith might do a really good job with this. And then Purgatory management might do a really good job with this. So there's just a lot to know, and just know you can never stop learning about how to sell up there. So this is what buyers are looking for. Yes, Jamie, I stole this right from Phil. So I'm not
Can I jump in with one thing real quick on the HOAs before you go from there? And the financing, condotel. Some of those buildings are considered a condotel, and so it gets really complicated real quick. And usually the kicker is there a front desk, right, that's specific to that building, et cetera, et cetera. So always raise that question earlier than not. It'll save you some time. And also, Chris Pattine's operation is very dialed in.
Premier.
His rental, yes, Premier, and Gwen at Redcliffe and Lori Naylor. They're all real familiar with different buildings. You're right. They're each going to be better at different things.
Let me see if I have it up. I actually have I have a file, and I could probably find it somewhere. But if you guys have someone that needs to rent out their place, let me see where I put it. Documents, and I have office. I have one just for property managers. I bet it's on my other one. I have a property manager list just for Purg, so it has everybody's name on it that did business up there. And yep, Gwen is on that list, and definitely Chris Pattine and Premier do an awesome job. Okay, let's move on. So this is what a true resort agent is going to probably do for their customers. They have a way, and I used to use kind of one like this, but the person walks in and they say, I'm here, I have one day to look at properties. I am having a blast with my family, and you're trying to convince them in one day that they should buy something, because if they walk out that door and they go back home, what happens? They start forgetting about Purgatory. You get back into life. We got all this stuff going on, and you just kind of put it off till next year. But if you can provide them something where you have all the places you say, what are the top three that you really liked? And this is what at Durango Mountain Realty, you could just run back into your office and do this. You say, okay, thanks for giving me those numbers. I'm going to run an analysis for you. And then you take those top three that they like. This is Village Center, Kendall, and Peregrine Point, and the numbers. And then you have a whole database of what all the DMMA fees are, what all the fees are. Did it include electric? Do you have gas bills? Do you have to pay your cable, or is that part of the HOA? I had all that information that I had collected on hand, so that you could say, you go get a beer and you meet me back here in 15 minutes and I will provide you an analysis. You put this in front of them and you talk about, this is what your, and it went on. This was 2 pages. What's your buyer's hometown, or what is their hometown? How much money would they save by, writing off their property visits? So I'm not going to give this to you. This is somebody else's, but I'm just showing you it's complicated. You're putting their loan into there so that they have a number. You say, how much did you like Peregrine? Because man, this one's more expensive, but you see how you're actually making more money off of it, if you do the average of what other people make. And it just gives them information. So somebody like that, they're drinking a beer, they're looking at this, they're like, hey, what do you think, honey? We could actually do this. We could make this happen. What, you mean I could write off my trip home? Oh, I could write off my vacation? Oh my God, I'm going to get my accountant on the line, and I'm going to get my financial person on the line, and I might buy it. they write a contract and you have it closed in, you know, a few weeks. So how is the market doing? I don't even know if I need to go over any of the stuff I have. Give us a new update, Jamie, because all of this is old news now.
They are totally out of inventory. Louis and I recently listed and sold a Brimstone unit, which was ski in, ski out from the 70s era, and it was opted in. It had been totally remodeled. And when we put it on the market at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday, we had like a half dozen tours. The next day it was under contract with multiple offers. So inventory is really low, but the exciting thing is that's new in the last couple decades is there's actually a lot of spec construction going on up there. That is new, I would say, because for a long, long time they had land and the market just didn't recover. Resort markets recover slower. Yeah, they cover slower than the town, and the town was still recovering really. But in the last probably 18 months, there have been 8 townhomes on Twilight Lake that were brand new construction with a Scottsdale builder, and those are all gone. The last 4 sold before they broke ground. Then in Twilight Cabins, where you were talking, in the green and yellow, little patio home style, those there are like 3 lots left in there. We sold 6 to that same Scottsdale developer, and he's building little Twilight Cabins, and I think they're gone already, and they just broke ground.
Oh, that was over here. That was with the
Twilight Cabins.
Yeah.
They bought Wayland's lots.
Wow.
And so those 6 are, I think, just early in construction, but already under contract. Like I said, the 8 were already gone. Mm-hmm.
So many years ago, but Jamie got it done. Man, Jamie's turned some inventory. Gary must have been your best friend.
It was fun. There's still, I mean, yeah, Coleman bought, I think, 7 of the condo brown parcels. So he's toyed with some feasibility studies and market studies on some of those. Kind of like how we talked about the hotel. The hotel was real close to breaking ground when the fire broke out. So that got shelved. Maybe that'll come back one day, but there's definitely some exciting opportunities up there, but some of it'll take another couple decades to build out.
Fire broke out? Did I miss something?
Oh, 416.
Oh, that fire. Oh, God. I thought there was like a fire up there on construction or something.
No.
You know,
the fire.
One thing, what Jamie was saying, for people that haven't lived here for 10 years, this used to all be, and I should have brought it with me. There's a book. It's a 50-year anniversary of Purg. I just finished reading it. I finally sat down and read the thing. It took me, you know, not very long because it's a lot of pictures. You should read that. If you live in the area, there is no better way to be a tour guide and talk to your customers to know the history of Purg. But back in the day, Chuck Cobb, he had bought this he was part of the Disney Corporation. He was part of the board. So him and his board buddies kind of went in together and went into partnership with the Duncan family who had owned previously. And they bought the whole thing. And then when Chuck was ready to like step back, they were in negotiations. And what happened when Coleman bought Purgatory is he bought Purgatory the rights to the ski resort and any kind of little property that he needed to run that ski resort, and everything else was sort of left with Chuck Cobb's group. So they thought it was a negotiation in process, like, oh, we can't come to agreement, Chuck, we're just going to run the ski resort, we'll buy that from you and we'll come back to the table. And years have gone by, and so the development is still owned somewhat by that original group, and that's why these big areas are for sale, because they thought, well, I guess Coleman's not buying this whole thing, we'll just sell it off. So thus they're still involved in the process more than they probably would want to be at this point. And then coming improvements, I rode the mountain coaster. Take the time to do that sometime. It was so fun. You could do it you could pay just to go up once, but it was awesome. It's the steepest in the continental US. I don't know about I haven't been paying attention to the realignment. I'm guessing that's probably, like you said, it's off the table right now. And then you know how you go past Purg and you see the green pond, the sewer pond? That is slated to go over the hill so that you won't see it anymore. And I don't know where they're at on that. It was supposed to not even be this year, and I bet they're putting it off with everything going on.
No, it has a state requirement with a deadline. So last I heard it was Eric Hassel is with the Metro District has that project, and they worked with the city to test out a new system they were going to use, and they had it down in the Animus. But yeah, that's definitely on track. I have more detail on that if you're ever curious
Cool.
from an updated board meeting, but the new plant system is all in process.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if there were any other places that, so this was the Slopeside Time. This is Purgatory. Let me see if I can get, okay. There were a couple other places that I wanted to send you. If you go to Purgatory's website, Real Estate and Clubs, that just sends you to Durango Mountain Realty's website, which isn't a bad place to hang out because Jamie and I wrote this website and it's got a bunch of stuff in here about like the community master plan. If you're looking for this, amenities, improvements, so it's all in one place. So yes, you can totally go to their website. You can also go to, I hope that doesn't make you mad, Jamie, that I'm sending people there. The resort up here, so this is Purgatory, and you see all the buttons. Real Estate and Clubs, you can find a lot of information out about what's going on. This is also when there's a bunch of new things happening that you can, they're advertising it very, very highly, but you can get information about like what you have access to and what you don't if you go to different places. So just another website I wanted to share. Do you guys have questions?
Heather, the Metro District website is awesome, and it gets kept up to date. It would have updates on the sewer plant, and it has like building fees. So if you have a client that's like, I want to buy a lot, what are the fees? What are the impact fees, right?
I didn't even, you know, I never used to go
Permits
there.
and stuff like that.
What is it, Purg Metro?
I think if you Google Purgatory Metro District, it's kind of a weird email address.
I could never remember it because it's a weird.
It is a weird.
Oh no, they actually changed it. Okay.
Did they?
But this is
It's a great website.
Oh, that's a lot better than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can find out information about all sorts of stuff here.
Yep, utility rates and all that stuff is there.
So Metro up there, remind me, it was more than just water and sewer. It was also gas, right?
So there's Durango Mountain Utilities, which is
so confusing.
Cable and the gigantic propane situation.
Tank,
The tank.
I thought I was going to explode one day.
Purg Metro District plows, I think, some of the communities as well.
Oh, good point. Okay, so when you're doing Engineer Village, let me show you this real quick. Engineer Village over here, there are no HOA fees. And you're going to go, wait, there's got to be something wrong. There is a DMMA fee to be part of like the master association, right? But your plowing is paid through your taxes. The taxes up there are very high. They're different than they would be in Durango. They have a special district up there, taxing district, right? So you don't have a plowing fee other than what is through the taxes. So again, another really complicated thing. And I have a feeling Double Diamond is the same way. So if somebody's parking a boat where they shouldn't, there's still someone you can call. It doesn't mean there's no covenants. There's very, very strong covenants. And if you have somebody who wants to build in a place like that, you really want them to hire a contractor who's already done work there. You don't want to just get their friend because they're never going to be able to do it for a good cost. It's just, they have to understand the rules. But anyway, just know that's another weird thing.
And on the same note, some of them have 2 HOAs, and a lot of people aren't familiar with, I am muted. Oh.
I guess
so a lot of times you'll have the DMMA fee plus whatever building you're in. So just keep track that sometimes you'll have 2 HOAs.
It's confusing, but don't feel like you have to know everything. It's right now. I'm just warning you to look into it when you have something. So it might be like you're buying it from so-and-so, you know they're a terrible agent about putting things on the MLS. Search the other ones because the good agents will put up all the information. So you're looking at Angel House and there's no information. Look up all the Angel House sales and just go through real quick and you're going to find one that has everything you need. I know Phil Waymeyer, I just really appreciated working with him because bless his heart, for all the things that would frustrate me, he was so good about putting things in the MLS and maps and everything you needed when you were going to show something because he wanted to sell his property. The fractional sales, any agent can sell, yes. I'm not even going to get into it. It is so complicated. There are quarter shares, there are eighth shares, and that's pretty much it. But the fractional shares are super complicated and they're not for everybody. So the biggest thing you need to know is people who call on fractional sales usually don't understand it's a fractional. So you have to explain it. There's regular fractionals and then there's PRC. That's the private residence club. It's the 5th floor of the Purgatory Lodge. Those are the kind of things. I had a I had a person that called me and wanted me to list one of those. I'm like, oh my God, if I was not working right up there, I would not want to be involved in a $79,000 sale that's at the top of Perg Lodge. And yeah, it's a lot. So I will just tell you that they're out there, or there also are timeshares out there. If you ever got a call and they said, oh, I have a timeshare at Perg, they actually have timeshares. But yeah, they're complicated enough that if you get one, let me know. But usually what would happen with the downtown agents is you refer it to people up there. Jamie, are you willing to do fractionals?
Sure.
You would?
They're
Okay.
fun. I have it.
No.
I have it totally memorized. I sold 14 of them last year. So
Good for you. So give them to Jamie, and just gonna warn you, don't expect a referral. She might buy you a cup of coffee, but I would have these downtown agents saying, will you list this 8th? I'd love to do a 30% referral. I'm like, you can give it to me and I'll sell it, but I am not taking a referral. I'll buy you a cup of coffee sometime. They're hard. And that's why they charge so much. That's why it's like 5% commission co-op, because you just don't want to mess with them. But yeah, give them to Jamie all day and she'll be your friend.
Sure.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I'd love to hear from you guys about how your week's been. And I'm going to start off with Jamie and Luis, and hoping you'll pitch a little bit about what you've been up to.
Oh, you
wanna
daddy.
do it or me? Well, I don't know if you guys remember, I was looking for a car wash site for a client of mine in Phoenix. And there's 6 acres over by the mall, and I saw it and I looked it up and it said that it was active. So I sent it to him. He got really excited. He wrote a full price offer. And then I let the listing agent know that he had a full price offer coming. And right after that, he put it as under contract. So so anyways, it didn't
You see what
close.
he's saying? He's saying, like, this property's been on the market for however long. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, I actually have a buyer for you. And he goes, oh, and he just goes and puts it under contract with someone else. It's like a little bit
Yeah.
slimy.
Exactly. So
I'm just
then it didn't close. It came back on. I sent it to my client, wrote a full price offer, 6 acres, 2.9 million. It closes in April. So that's awesome.
Isn't that awesome? So
Yeah.
it's just persistence. That's what I was saying. It's just
Exactly.
It's like,
Yep.
don't give up. If you get it under
Yep.
backup contract, then it's still good.
And then we might have a couple more condos coming up at Perg to list.
Oh, good.
So if you guys know anybody who's looking for that, we've got some interest on our elements lots. A builder, we have three different clients looking at some of our lots that we have in elements up
We were
here
just
at
told we have
Edgemont.
an offer coming.
What?
One just said we have an offer coming today.
We just got an email. We have an offer coming for one of our lots in elements. Meeting with a builder tomorrow. So we finally got some interest on our lots. Got another one under contract in our other subdivision up here at Edgemont. Our Crestview listing terminated, and we've got an offer coming today. We had like 6 showings already. So that's how crazy the market is right now.
That's just nuts. And a water main break just down the road just happened
Yep.
over lunch.
Yep. So what else?
That's just awesome.
I would say
so there's one thing we have coming. We just haven't figured out how to like structure it, but we have lots in Edgemont Highlands, and there's builders building in Edgemont Highlands, and they're all too busy, but we're trying to figure out how to hire one of them to give us estimates on conceptual house plans that we have that fit on the lots, so that we could go to MLS or at least go to the office and say, if you have a client that wants to be in Edgemont, they want to be, in the 500 price point or 600 or 800, we have a variety of ways we can match make for you. Matchmaker with you and your client. So if you guys ever have a client who wants to be in Edgemont and can't find what they're looking for, call us, because we can help connect you with a lot. We have a variety to choose from, and we can connect you with a builder. They're too busy to talk about specs, but if there's a client attached to it, it moves up the list priority for them.
Makes a
So
lot of sense.
we're just trying to figure out how to connect the dots on
So,
those.
and then one quick thing, over Thanksgiving, I ran into a high school friend of mine who's doing very well in commercial real estate there. and he's looking at a luxury piece of property out in where is it?
Bayfield.
Bayfield. So that's another
That's awesome.
possibility.
It's
And I just ran into him out of nowhere for Thanksgiving in Scottsdale, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm looking at this ranch." I'm like, "Right on." So
See, Hazel, one day you are going to be talking like this. You'll have like so much on your plate, you won't know how to say it. So Hazel, come on. Tell us about your week. What have you done? You got licensed. You're on mute right now. Oh, I heard you for a sec.
I got licensed. Hi. I'm in Breckenridge still right now, so I've been kind of just working from home and working on my phone that got wet and
Two people dropped their phones in the last couple of days. Anna listened to the office meeting through a bowl of rice because she had dropped her phone into water while I was talking. I know, I'm like that. And then Hazel also, her phone in water. I'm like, this is bad juju this week with phones.
yeah, not a good week to start. But I have a working phone now, so it's fine. It's good.
Oh, she did her second virtual open home. So I am telling you, Leah, you did your share. I'm not making you come back on. Anna, as soon as you're ready, you're coming back, and I'm not letting you say no. But Hosea, Henry, I'd love to have you get on and just get your face in front of people and get used to talking, because Hazel, you did awesome. And Hosea, you've been on once, but back on. But good job, Hazel. Leah, what you got going on? It is a beautiful backdrop. Oh, can you hear me, Leah?
Yes. Hi. Sorry.
It's so pretty.
Wow.
Thanks. Christmas. I've had a good week. It's been busy. I have 4 homes, properties under contract, and everything closes within, I think the latest one is mid-January. So right now I'm just really staying on top of a lot of that. I'm in the midst of letting people in for inspectors, and Todd and I have one in Highlands that's being currently dug up at the moment to put in a French drain. And so some of these are just taking kind of some extra work. But it's good. It's good. I'm busier than I expected to be. At the end of October, I had closed a home and thought I probably wouldn't have anything going on, maybe until after holidays or something. Sorry, my dog's trying to kiss me.
No, don't be sorry. That's cute.
She's like, she's home. So it's really cool, because I thought like, oh my gosh, I'm not like, I have nothing. It's going to be slow, and I've got 4 under contract. So it's good.
That's awesome, Lee. I'm so proud of you guys. How about you, Hosea? What's going on?
It's going good. It's been a while since we've talked about our week. So I'm under contract on a house up for Rita for $925,000. It's going well there. Going through the inspection phases. Little hiccup on a roof warranty, but we're getting it figured out.
I have your calendar, right? It was on my cabinet, and I took it down. I have to keep up with your deadlines.
Perfect. But yeah, that's going really well. We closed January 15th. So
What was the list price of the house you put under?
it was $925,000. That was at price offer.
Just so you know, I've been in the business like however many years, and my highest priced house that I sold was under that. So, and I think it was Gary Dirk's house, the Engineer Village house, for like $700. So for a first sale, or not first sale, but first house sale, that is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
A sign of how good you are and how good the market is right now.
Yep.
Congratulations. Anna,
Thank
you're
you.
taking some time off. You got family stuff going on, but I know you're going to be in town for a hot second tomorrow.
Yes, yep, I'm in town. I thought I was gonna have to go back this
you might not.
weekend. Yeah, and I get to stay the next week-ish. So that's really good. My dad's getting released from rehab this weekend, and my brother's flying in to take care of him.
Okay.
So I'm really happy to be home, but yeah, things have just been really slow. And it kind of worked out. I've already told Heather this, but it kind of worked out because right before my dad's accident, I had like 3 or 4 like pretty solid seeming leads. And then I called all of them to touch base. None of them answered, and none of them called me back. And then I finally followed up with one. And one guy, I was literally in the middle of writing up an offer. And he's supposed to move here, and he never called me back. I texted him like, hey, hope you made it to Colorado safe. Nothing. And then I finally talked to him this week, and we're on the phone, you know, how's it going? He goes, yeah, do you know Mike Aronson? Yeah, I know Mike. And he goes, yeah, we work together at the fire department. Oh, that's great. Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, I think I'm just going to work with him.
Yeah, so this is what I do when
Okay.
you see it in person. I don't know if you can see the thing, but I'm like, oh, I do. Oh, that's great. And you're trying to just keep that smile. Even it might not be a person you like as much as Mike. It might be somebody you really despise personally, you know? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, that's just great. I'm so happy for you.
So that was kind of a bummer
I'm so
because
sorry.
I'd spent a lot of research time for this guy on land and wells and stuff. But it was a good learning experience and it's all good.